I'll now call to order the May 22nd, 2025 meeting of Mayor and Council. I'm calling Councilwoman Vivian Miller Cody to lead us in prayer, and then please remain standing for the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we come to this evening and say we thank you that everyone may be safely. We thank you for our mayor. We thank you for our city councilman. We thank you for our city manager. We thank you for our assistant city manager. We thank you everyone that's listening to the sound of my voice. Father God, we come to you saying just thank you. We lift you up. It's your grace and mercy that our meeting will be done in decent and in order. Most Heavenly Father, we ask you also, if we come to our Memorial Weekend, that we ask you to protect our city. Put a arm of protection around our city, that this be one of the greatest Memorial Weekends we've ever had in the city of Valdosta. We ask these blessings in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Council, you've had time to review the April 24th, 2025 minutes. Are there any additions or deletions at this time? Seeing none, hearing none, those minutes are approved by acclamation. The minutes from the May 8th, 2025 regular meeting are forthcoming. Item 3, it's public hearing. Public hearing for the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget. This is our second hearing. Catherine Amridge, our Assistant City Manager, will present.
Thank you, Mayor. The fiscal 2026 proposed City of Valdosta budget has been reviewed and discussed at previous meetings, and a public hearing has been conducted to afford citizens and our council the opportunity to make comments on funding levels. Staff is recommending and asking to approve the fiscal 2026 proposed budget in the amount of $139,023,945. Thank you.
Council, any further questions for our Assistant City Manager? Okay. If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
It's a public hearing.
Are there any citizens wishing to come forward at this time to speak in favor? Seeing none, are there any wishing to come forward at this time to speak in opposition? Council, it is now yours for action. Thank you.
Well, I didn't know it was gonna go right now. I thought we were gonna have somebody to speak, because I was told to ask a couple of questions about our hearing.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, about our hearing, because I told y'all have to come up and speak for yourselves. And I guess nobody did come up, but I said if they didn't, that I would ask a couple of questions regarding our budget.
Ask away.
Since it's not up there outlined as I thought it might be, but there was a question regarding the Lakeland Avenue area of how we were going to be what we were going to be doing with that and so forth like that. And one of the questions was how far and the distance that we were going to be using it and the timeline of when we was going to get started.
So the proposed improvement project should be from Melrose to Barack Obama. Is that right, Ben? Yep.
From Melrose.
Melrose to Barack.
So that would be coming east from west to east.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes, you can come up, Ben, if you want to clarify it. I just.
Melrose is
Is
west
west.
of Barack.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a continuity from last year. If you'll remember, y'all approved the same funding amount for FY25. And during our assessment of the basin, we identified that maybe our initial plan and approach was not going to be as productive as we hoped in the use of public funds. And so we've kind of pivoted, and we're reassessing the overall floodplain from a 1 mile branch from Lakeland Highway all the way to Ashley Street. And the consultant, as part of that assessment, is going to produce a list of recommendations in order to reduce flooding in that area effectively. So we went about developing our design, and we found that if we had designed it based on what the master plan had recommended, it would not accomplish the overall intent of the project, which is to reduce flooding in that area. But generally speaking, as an initial scope, right? So the overall project is intended to reduce flooding in and around Lakeland Avenue near the intersection of 1 Mile Branch and Lakeland Avenue.
But it's a little short question. It was like Melrose goes north and south, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we're gonna go far down from Melrose, from the beginning of Melrose at Pineview, or Melrose?
so the project scope runs parallel to, it runs on Lakeland, right? So it'd be drainage improvements on Lakeland Avenue from Melrose to Barack Obama. The
What are-
project runs along Lakeland Avenue, and it's
Okay.
bounded on the west by Melrose, and it's bounded on the east by Barack Obama Boulevard.
Okay, so that's
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
was trying to see, what, okay, Connor. And was, was there any kind of like a particular timeline, or what would, once if it gets started, what they was gonna do with it?
So the survey is completed, right? So the survey of the property, the data collection that we need in order to design the project is completed. The initial 30% design, we're delivering the design in-house, so my department's doing the design work and all of the construction documents ourselves. And the consultant is supposed to be preparing initial recommendations for floodplain management, things that we can do to reduce flooding in that area. They're supposed to be preparing initial recommendations around, I hope, July.
Okay.
And we're preparing the plan set in tandem and parallel with that, and so we're hoping to be able to put the thing out to bid either Q1 or Q2 FY26.
Okay,
So is that a good?
Yeah.
Just, okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Yes, ma'am.
Senator, did you have another question? Okay. All right. Council, it's yours for adoption.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Catherine, thank you. Move on to bids, contracts, agreements, and expenditures. We'll invite Ben O'Dowd back up. Consideration of bids for the purchase of 25 traffic controllers for the engineering department. Our city engineer.
I'm not sure what I did wrong to lose my adjectives. Maybe we just ran out of adjectives. We could work on that. That'd be nice.
Okay. I came unprepared.
Kidding. All right, this is the agenda item for the purchase of 25 traffic controllers. If you'll scroll through, Teresa, I've got a picture of what we're buying. Councilman McIntyre, I apologize for not having the photos for the cabinets themselves, but I did want to include the photo for the controller. The controller, as you see there, is that large black unit above all of the different intersection logic controllers there. And so we buy this to restock every year. This is a regular purchase that we make annually to restock our inventory. We had, as I discussed with the cabinets, the way that we develop the budget for these is technically 2 fiscal years behind. We're changing that this coming year, so we should have better numbers. But unfortunately, the same circumstance that befell us with the cabinets affected us with the controllers as well. So we had budgeted $52,000 for FY25. We got quotes back for 25 controllers, which is the amount that we need. And the low bid was $59,251.25. The funding instrument is SPLOST 8, and staff is humbly requesting that council approve the purchase of 25 as originally planned, in spite of the slight budget overage. Any questions?
Council, any questions for Ben? Thomas, are you sure? I knew he got excited about that graphic. All right. Thank you, Bennett. Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to approve make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Show of hands. Council, thank you. Ben, stay put. Consideration of bids for extension of utilities in the area of Park Avenue and Inner Perimeter Road. Ben O'Dowd, our brilliant engineer.
Yes, sir. This is the installation of linear infrastructure and a new sanitary sewer lift station along Inner Perimeter Road. This has been under design for just under a year, and we are prepared to begin construction. We put the project out to bid. We had good attendance at the mandatory pre-bid meeting, and we had good attendance at the bid table. We had 2 bids with a very, very tight bid spread. We had a bid of $3,641 from RPI, and we had a bid of $2,959,737 from JWA. It was an uncustomarily tight bid, but the low bidder, we checked all the math, and the low bidder for the project is JWA, and we're recommending approval. Based on the magnitude of the project and the field conditions, we only believe a 10% contingency is what's necessary for the project. So that's what we've presented to you for approval.
Council,
Any questions for me?
Any questions for Ben? Good? No? Thank you, Ben. Council, yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented, plus the 10% contingency.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Ben? This is my favorite part. Consideration of a cost recovery plan for the Inner Perimeter Road Utilities Extension Project.
Yes, sir. So this is something that I've felt is productive to do. Our ordinance equips you all to make the decision to implement something like this. I've included all of the relevant ordinance sections, which empower the city council to implement cost recovery plans. Effectively, we have selected out of the bid cost for this project the isolatable cost that can be effectively tracked back to the end users, right? So it's difficult to quantify, and I've laid all this out in the agenda item, so I'm trying to go through this briefly. I know we're all hungry and would like to get out of here, but just to give you an idea, the water main cost, having a cost recovery plan for water main extensions is difficult because it's more difficult to quantify, okay, who's using it. It's not just who's connecting to it. There's also this corporate benefit of having a well-maintained and interconnected water system. Similarly, with the gravity improvements, it's difficult to kind of pin the cost of certain gravity improvements on a single user, unless a gravity extension is being done to serve one single property, which is not the case here. But we have a very well-defined service area, which is delineated for the use of the lift station. The lift station itself has a design maximum capacity. And so in staff's opinion, the cost of the lift station and the force main fall into that category of compensable costs. The total cost, if you look at the unit costs schedule for the lift station and the force main, is $1.275 million, and the lift station is designed with a maximum service capacity of 85,000 gallons per day. And so the basic math here is that the thing costs $1.275 for the ratepayers to build, and it has a capacity of 85,000 gallons per day. And so we are recommending a cost recovery fee of $15 per gallon per day. This is a one-time fee that new connectees would pay upon connection to the public system in this location. And this would fully basically if each person pays 15 gallons per day and the thing's got 85,000 gallons per day, over time, once it hits max capacity, it will have paid for, or the connectees will have paid for the construction. A little complicated. I tried to make it as straightforward as possible, but effectively, it costs this much to build the thing. It benefits these people, or this total volume, and so we're recommending that we effectively back charge that cost to the people that are connecting to it slowly over time. Any questions?
Brilliant. Questions for Ben?
Oh, I did want to point out, I selected for 3 random uses that I felt like were fairly representative of the types of uses that this lift station might see connection. So you've got a single-family residence, a commercial development with 2 restrooms, and then an apartment complex with 100 bedrooms. And so I feel like that's a pretty wide spread of intensity of uses. And then I've got based on this rate schedule, an estimate of how much each one of those types of uses would pay. Any questions for me?
Council.
And
Councilman.
that is a one-time $15 fee.
Yeah, 15. So yeah, so if
Yeah.
if you use 1,000 gallons per day, it would be $15 times that 1,000 gallons, and that'd be a one-time fee that you would pay at the outset. And the way that the ordinance is worded, if it's a If it's a single development, that it would be paid as part of the permit fee for whenever you're building something new, right? So you'd be paying that as part of the permit fee or service establishment fee for customer service. And then if it's a subdivision, for instance, like if it's a residential subdivision, then the cost would be borne by the developer prior to the final platting. So those are the two categories and two distinguishing characteristics that the ordinance mentioned.
Gotcha.
But yes, it is a one-time fee.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dooley?
I'm looking at that, when you're talking about that plan, how long are we expecting that, like you said, you're gonna fix up the water main and everything, and they're gonna pay one time, and how long would this expected to last? Like with the city, would it be like in like maybe 10, 15 years, and it's like it's a big problem, and we don't have the funds to pay for it or something like that? I mean, I think you should charge a whole lot more than what you're charging, because we're not gonna, you're gonna have to compensate for the longevity of it.
Yeah. So, two things. You can only, based on the ordinance, and I believe based on state law, we can only charge what it costs us. We can charge, or there's language in there that you can prorate it based on maybe inflation. I think the difficulty that comes with doing something like that is the administrative nightmare, for lack of a better term, of tracking that cost. So the true cost of the development and of that portion of the development is 1.275 million. And so that's what we're recommending compensation for. I honestly did not expect to get up here and have a council person say that we should charge more.
I think we should.
But if
It's
you'd
gonna
like to make a
cost the
motion to
city.
charge more, then I would lean on the expertise of our city attorney, whether that would be legal or
Well,
defensible
I'm
in
just
court.
looking at the longevity. I'm looking out for the city, a little bit
Yeah.
of the future, when you say you're doing this in anticipation of, the future and doing things.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am. This
We're
is,
gonna be,
this is effectively a tapping fee, and it's not something that we've made a habit of doing in years past. And so I think that we're taking a step in the right direction by starting to do this. To my knowledge, this has not been done in a very long time within the city of Valdosta.
I could poll the room.
Have I polled the room?
All right, any other questions for Ben? Council, entertain a motion.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. All in opposition, same sign. Motion carries. Ben, thank you. Item B is consideration of a request to approve a quitclaim deed for the sale of property by 211 and 213 South Ashley Street LLC. Tim Tanner, our city attorney, will present.
Yes, I received a call from an attorney representing a potential purchaser of this property in doing their due diligence, which means searching the title. They came to a very small portion of the property. It's over in Savannah, and there is a couple old deeds that highlights in yellow, part of an abandoned railroad bed that was probably taken up 100 years ago. So an effort to, the city was involved in this in a chain of title back about 30 or 40 years ago. So as part of due diligence, they just want to get a quick claim deed to say if we do have any ownership in this strip, thank you, sir, that we would quit claim it so they can sell the property.
Any questions for the attorney?
so they want us to quit claim that tonight?
Yes, ma'am. To the current owners, and then they will be able to, they have an interested buyer. This
they
is
been-
where the, those buildings that were damaged heavily during the storm, and they've been,
Right over here?
yes, ma'am. And they have a potential buyer for that area.
Who been keeping up that area? Around there, was it the city, since they thought it was the city's? Are you talking
No.
about that those brick roads, is that the brick road?
So there was two buildings that came down,
Uh-huh.
and then there was kind of a parking lot, and then there's a building that's still standing. This strip is in between the building that is still standing and that little corner parking lot. And it's a strip probably 8 feet wide that
Okay,
they can't.
the reason I'm asking, right by, what was it, Chi Whiz? We're not talking about the area right by
No,
that?
no,
Oh, okay,
no.
because I thought we already gave them that.
It's, our parking lot is right across from there, kind of in between. I
Okay.
don't know what is in that current building. I think some woodwork, so maybe a cat.
Yep, it sure is.
Yeah,
Yeah, he leases it.
yeah. So
Any other questions for the attorney? All right, counsel, yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Counselor, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on now to item 6, boards, commissions, authorities, and advisory committees. Consideration of appointments to the Community Development Block Grant Citizens Advisory Committee, that's a mouthful. We'll state the Community Development Block Grant Citizens Advisory Committee has 4 members: Councilwoman Vivian Miller Cody, Councilwoman Sandra Tooley, Dr. Beverly Richardson Blake, and Deborah White, whose terms expired on February 24th. Those appointments were advertised according to our policy. That was adopted by Mayor and Council. Councilwoman Miller Cody is interested in reapplying for her slot and has turned in a new board application for consideration during the next round of board appointments. The current applicants, Ms. Tooley, Ms. Richardson Blake, and Ms. White, have all stated they'd like to be reapplied. So if there's no objection, it's 3 people for 4 slots, and I will reappoint by acclamation without objection. And seeing none, it is done. Item B, consideration of appointments to the Public Art Advisory Committee. Slot 1, Teresa Boyd. These slots are to be filled. Slot 1, Teresa Boyd, LVAC member, board member whose term will expire June 1st. Stephen Walker, LVAC professional artist whose term will expire June 1st. And a community at large whose term will expire June 1st as well. These appointments were advertised according to our policy. And again, because it is the perfect number, if there's no objection from council, since there's only 1 applicant for the community at large spot, Craig Hawkins will be appointed by acclamation without objection. It's so done. Item C, consideration of appointments to the Valdosta Lowndes County Airport Authority. Again, 2 seats for 2 applicants, Paul Hamilton and David DeSalvo. So again, council, without objection, I'll appoint both by acclamation. Council, thank you. Item D, consideration of appointment to the Valdosta Lowndes County Zoning Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Again, without objection, there is 1 applicant, Ms. Hobby, the only applicant, and I will appoint by acclamation. Council, thank you for putting up with all that. We'll now move on to citizens to be heard. Portion of the meeting, we ask you to come forward and state your name and address so we may have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that all have time to be heard. Please direct all comments to council as a whole. Do not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It's our policy to follow through with your concern. Additionally, if there are any groups that want to address council, please designate 1 spokesperson. Having said that, are there any citizens wishing to be heard at this time? I would have been disappointed. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Kelly Saxon, 8 Baldwin Place, Valdosta, Georgia. And I was coming before you all. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support for the Mental Health Day at the Unity Park. It was a success. We had great connections. Consumers were in community enjoying the festivities and resources. So thank you all for that and for that support. I come before you today because June 1st is fastly approaching. That is the beginning of storm season here in Valdosta. So we hope and pray that we get a break this year, but just in case we don't, we need to consider buildings that we possibly could use or partner to use for inclement weather shelter. I was in the community this week. I've seen several seniors who are homeless, and they've had to call our police department was out, and then also the ambulance was out because of people are getting heat exhausted already, and we're early. So I'm asking that we revisit looking at the possibility of the Gordon Street. I know Valdosta Parks and Rec is on there, but who actually owns that building, and what can we do to possibly put it back in use with community? So the Craig Center. So looking at the Craig Center as a possible place for people to go, a resource in that community, and then when the storms come, we'll be prepared with a place for the people. So ask for your support, and we look into that and see what we can do.
Kelly, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, I'll close out this portion of the evening, and before I turn it over to the Assistant City Manager for the City Manager's report, I want to acknowledge any and all Leadership Lounge class members that are here. If you don't mind standing to be recognized. Part of their class requirement is to take in a city council meeting as well as a Lowndes County Commission meeting. Have you done the Lowndes County Commission meeting? Just checking. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to recognize for a moment our Public Works Department. It is Public Work Week, and under the leadership of Larry Ogden, I will say that I am so humbled and honored to work side by side with these men and women. And so just for a second, if we could recognize our Public Works team for all their hard work and dedication. Yes. And other than that, I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be closed on Monday, the 26th for Memorial Day in observance and to honor and remember those brave men and women that sacrificed everything for our country. So that's all I've got.
Well done. All right, we'll move on to council comments. I'll start at the far end. Any comments? Eric?
It's holiday weekend, people. You don't have license, you don't have registration, you don't have insurance. Please park those cars. You take an Uber, Lyft, or anything.
Valdosta on demand.
That's right.
It's two. Oh, yeah, not the weekend, just Monday.
No, sir.
I just want to say, first of all, let me just recognize also Public Works Weekend, Public Works Week. We did have one of our Public Work Department head, Mr. Larry Ogden, come out and speak to people, explaining to them about the trash pickup, trying to give them a better idea, so we maybe help with all the phone calls we've gotten. I got a lot of feedback from him, and I got to say he did a wonderful job. He did it to a couple of events that we had going on, and he did a wonderful job explaining it to the people. And I think that's what we need a lot more of it, having someone come out and educate them. And he came out to the place where they was at. He met them at their place, and that to me was a big plus. Thank you for Public Works, and I think we will be having some more of that from our other departments, because we will be looking for that. But that was a wonderful thing for this week. Thank you.
Ms. Dooley, I heard he was very popular at your Tuesday talk.
Oh, he was. He was that.
I got nothing to add. Gentlemen, ladies. We get, thank you, Ms.
We
Cody. We
do.
get to honor
We
our
do.
crossing guards
We
tomorrow
do.
morning at a ceremony out at Greenleaf. They do a fantastic job. There is one out there that will throw herself on the hood of your car if you're speeding and endangering her young people. She sure will.
Yep.
And I'd like to invite everybody to two different ceremonies that are open to the public. One on Monday at 10 a.m. at the cemetery, our fine cemetery there, Sunset, and the other at the AMVETS at 2:45 out on Highway 84. Two fantastically well-run ceremonies as well that you're invited to as the general public.
And they also, the AMVETS Post 607 also has an event on Sunday at, over here at the amphitheater. So join us this Sunday. We're going to be out there, a lot of good music, some good food and vendors. So definitely check us out there, AMVETS Post 607 this Sunday. We're going to celebrate.
Only a Big Nick's is going to be there.
Yeah, we definitely going to be there.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Tim, when she said it first, you know that.
I need you and Catherine down here. Have you guys in the middle?